Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about rate and unit rate. Rate is a relationship between two quantities using different units, and it's written as a fraction. So it looks very similar to a ratio, except with rates you have labels at the end of them, and you just write it as a fraction. A unit rate is a rate comparing the first quantity to one of the second. So you've probably heard a lot of these, like miles per hour or distance per minute, something like that. Those are unit rates. Then there's also something called a rate unit, which is the new unit. In other words, that just means that it's just the label of the unit rate. So the examples that I gave you were rate units, but they also describe a unit rate. So let's look at some more, or an example in order to clarify this a little bit more. So these notes today are how to find a unit rate. So at the store, you can buy 4 oranges for $5. How much does one orange cost? So step 1 is to write the rate as a fraction. So the amount or the word that you're finding the one of will be the denominator. So in this case, we want to find the amount for 1 orange. So I'm going to use oranges as my label for the denominator. And my problem said that there's 4 of them, so I'm going to put 4 oranges as my denominator. The numerator is going to be the other information that I know, which is that it cost $5. And there we go. So I have my rates. So step 2 is to write your rate next to another fraction with a 1 as the denominator and the label's the same. So what we have right now is just the rate. We don't know what the amount is for 1 orange. So we're going to write that by making an equivalent fraction. So I know that I want 1 orange. So again, I follow my notes. I want the label the same with orange on the bottom and dollars on the top. And then I want to try to find out the amount for 1 orange. I don't know what that amount is, so I'm just going to leave that blank. You could put a box, you could put an X, anything that would be helpful. Whew, okay, looking good so far. Step 3 is to divide the denominators. So if this is looking very similar to you, it should, because this is just like what we did when we were finding equivalent ratios. It's pretty much the same thing. We have to figure out how we get from 4 oranges to 1 orange by multiplication or division. And that's what we do in a ratio. In this case, we're just going to divide. So we're going to take 4 divided by 1, and we know that that is 4. Okay, good so far. Let's take a look at step 4. So step 4, take the answer from step 3, which in this case was division, and divide it by the numerator. So write your answer in the second numerator spot. And when you're actually dividing, the numerator goes inside that division box, just like what we did when we were dividing fractions when we're dividing. So to kind of recap again, we discovered to get from 4 oranges to 1 orange, we had to divide by 4. I'm taking my numerator, which was the $5. I'm placing it inside my division box and the amount we divided outside. So we have the 5 inside in this example and the 4 on the outside. And we're just going to divide the same way that we've been practicing. 4 goes into 5 one time without going over. 1 times 4 is 4. And when we subtract, we are left with 1. Well, I don't have anything to bring down, so I'm going to put a decimal up on the top, and that allows me to add that 0. bring it straight down. 4 can go into 10 2 times without going over. 2 times 4, is 8. When we subtract, we are left with 2. I'm going to add that other 0 to bring it straight down. 4 can go into 20 5 times without going over. And we are left with nothing as a remainder. So overall, our final amount is going to be $1.25. Yay! So we have our amount. The final step is to write your answer with the proper rate unit, also known as the label. If you ever see that backslash, so this line right here, that means the word per or for. So dollars per orange is a way to look at that. So we discovered that it was $1.25 for one orange. So you can either write that out as $1.25 per orange. You don't really have to rewrite dollars there. I just wanted to emphasize the label. Or you can kind of shorten it by, again, doing $1.25. You don't, again, have to write dollars. It's just if you want to, and then per orange. So that's it. That's how you find your unit rate. But you might come across a couple of situations in which you're not actually finding a unit rate, you're finding a different rate. So if you're looking for a rate that is not a unit rate or amount per one item, you need to use the same steps, but replace the denominator with or a denominator of 1 with the amount that you want. So here's another example that you might see. At the store, I can buy 4 oranges for $5. How much money would 2 oranges cost? So the same thing as before. Step 1 was to write the rate. And in this case, we have $5 on top, 4 oranges on the bottom. We have 4 oranges as a denominator because that's the amount that we're looking for, or that we have given to us in our problem. So now instead of trying to find 1 orange, we're looking for 2 oranges. Well, again, we're going to follow those exact same steps. First, we're going to divide the denominators. So we can get from 4 to 2 by dividing by 2. Great! That makes our life easy because now we can do the exact same thing on the top, which is moving on to step 4. We're going to divide 5 by 2. And we're going to do that by, again, putting the numerator inside and the number that we're dividing by on the outside. 2 can go into 5 2 times without going over. 2 times 2 is 4. And when we subtract, we're left with 1. I don't have anything else to bring down, so I'm going to add that decimal place, which allows me to put that 0 there. They're bringing the 0 down, we have the number 10. 2 can go into 10 5 times without going over. 2 times 5 does equal 10, so that means we don't have a remainder. But that makes everything nice because we know that it costs $2.50 for 2 oranges. That is very expensive oranges, but hopefully they're good. And then our last and final step, the same steps that we were following before, is to write your answer in the proper form. We know that it costs, use the right pen here, $2.50 for 2 oranges. We can also write it just like literally right exactly as I said. Or you can use that backslash again so that $2 and 50 cents per 2 oranges. And that's it. These problems can be super, super uncomfortable and very challenging by just looking at it. But if you follow these simple steps, hopefully everything will be all right for you. If you have any questions, let me know.